And guess who my special guest is? Countryman Governor of Bayelsa State, His Excellency Henry Dickson. So many things have been happening in Bayelsa State, and the once formidable and united PDP political dynasty, inherited by Governor Dickson, is witnessing some cracks in its fold. In the last few days, many top members of the PDP, close allies of the governor, have decamped to the opposition All Progressive Congress. Even in the PDP itself, there seems to be a very sharp division between the group of loyalists and then another group that has its loyalty to former First Lady, Dame Patience Jonathan, and a woman who has vowed to work against Governor Dickson's re-election. Yet, the opposition to Dickson will not be as a result of non-performance, far from it. So, why will a performing governor be facing this level of opposition from supposed friends and from the same political party? Governor Henry Dickson joins me shortly. He's here. Please come over, countryman. All right. Just hold that. I will help you with it.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Thank you, my countryman. Nice to see you again.
Listen, I'm not sure we've met since the elections.
Yes, we've not met since after the elections.
Our brother and our friend lost the elections.
Well, Nigeria won the elections.
Good to see you. Please have your seat.
Thank you.
All right. I'm so sure I'm going to leave the process to your citizens this morning, because since we posted yesterday that we'll be having you as our special guest, the tweets have been pouring in. Even this morning, they are still pouring in.
That's good.
So probably they will do more of the questioning.
Okay.
Let me just set the tone. Right. Is Bayelsa State also broke? Or did you meet an empty treasury? If so, from who?
Well, when I took over in after the general elections, which were clearly won heavily by the party, by the PDP, we didn't meet any. There was no money left in the treasury, of course. And that's not surprising, because we know the way the government was run at that time. But Bayelsa is not broke in the sense that we are probably one of the few states that we are not owing our normal obligations, monthly obligations to our workers. We don't. Just yesterday, after reviewing the financial reports of the state for the month, I've just authorized that salaries for last month, June, be paid, and the process will commence from tomorrow. So, in that sense, we are not owing. But we have been slowed down in terms of execution of most of the massive infrastructural programs that we got involved in over the past 3 years now. Because in the past 1 year, there has been a sharp reduction in state revenues, and that has meant that contractors, some of them have had to leave sites, all over the country. I mean, even federal projects are stalled because of what has happened. So, to that extent, yes, there are major challenges facing Bayelsa, and indeed all states in the country, but not to the extent of not paying our workers because of the structures, the mechanisms we have put in place.
So you don't need a bailout?
We need a bailout because of the obligations we have to the contractors. We want to see most of those projects completed, and completed according to schedule.
What all of this have brought home to us vividly is the fact that we've been myopic in our planning. Depending on just one source of revenue is just definitely not right for a country.
Yes.
And if you zero it down to Bayelsa, for example, I'm sure beyond oil, Bayelsa has a lot of potentials in terms of what to look at to beef up its internally generated revenue.
Yes.
And I doubt if there's any state in the Federation that is not equally blessed with such potentials. Isn't it time we look at Nigeria beyond oil?
No. In fact, it's one of the things we have to blame ourselves as a country for. Over the years, there has been over-reliance on oil revenues, to the neglect, utter neglect of agriculture, to the utter neglect of tourism, to the utter neglect of manufacturing. Even textile industries, companies have closed down and things like that, which shouldn't have been allowed to be. And we haven't really been able to get the power situation right. which will also aid industrialization. So in Bayelsa, since we came in, and these are some of the measures we have put in place, an aggressive desire to expand the scope of the economy. The economy has to be broadened beyond oil revenues. We're investing seriously in agriculture in Bayelsa. As we are speaking, we have a massive cassava farm, in a Berebri. I'm calling the location so that people can go there and see what is going on. We are working with European companies, and very soon, the biggest cassava processing plant in this country will happen in Bayelsa. Already there are buyers who are lined up, there are LCs placed. So we are building the factory, and there's a 400-hectare cassava farm going on there. We are working on major aquaculture projects. Some Israeli firms are working with us. We are building so many of these at the same time. We are working on massive poultry projects, some of them completed, so that some youths can be trained, and that's why we are building the School of Agriculture, to be able to train middle-level manpower. Now, why now? That's the question. Because these are things that should have been started long time ago. Our country should have known that over-relying on oil revenues is a very risky step for our national economy. As a matter of fact, it's a national security issue, because you are dealing with an oil revenue, oil politics that you don't even control at the global level. That's what has happened. So when these big countries, big world powers now begin to calculate their national interests and play the sort of games that they play from time to time, then those of us who are totally dependent on oil revenues, who don't have proactive leadership, because this thing takes time. Most of these issues can't really be solved within a space of 4 years.
Okay.
You've got to have consistency in leadership and government, from one government to the other. And that's why any government taking over shouldn't just hurriedly discard policies that have been put in place. For example, agriculture.
Yeah,
that's one area.
That's one area we are going to value chain the process.
Exactly.
Just so that we don't make the same mistake we are making in the oil sector, where we just tap the crude, take it, export it.
Yes.
The people will give it to get as many as 30 other byproducts from it, which they sell back to us.
And we import it.
And we import. Penny wise,
we have no excuse for doing that. We have no excuse for reducing this country to that level. Now, in Bayelsa, there's an aggressive process of diversification of the economy going on. I've just talked about agriculture. I had to set up the Bayelsa Development and Investment Corporation, which is a state-owned investment arm that was set up to do exactly what these Gulf countries are doing in terms of having massive investment funds and massive investments out of the country. As we speak, for the past 3 years I've been there, as a result of the way we have managed the resources, as a result of the focus on the agenda for expanding the scope of our economy beyond oil and gas, we have bought major shares in banks, the state, BDIC, insurance companies, other firms. As we speak, we even have investments, real estate investment in the UK, real estate investment in the US. Now, my thinking was that if the revenue didn't drop suddenly to impact on our development agenda, I was thinking that a time will come gradually when, for example, students that I'm sending outside the country will not need remittances from Nigeria, where their fees will have to be paid from the rental income
from those
investments. That's why we targeted UK and Europe, because I had a lot of students have sent.
Okay.
A lot of students have sent. But unfortunately, as we did that, yes, the value of these two investments is already going up, but we're not in a position to add to the investment portfolio. But it's a step we have taken, which we intend, when the economy improves, to continue, and I believe succeeding governments after will also build on that.
Before you leave the issue of the students, there's a tweet I'm seeing right now.
Yes.
It's from Iro, and it's on these students that are abroad.
Yes.
It says, let the governor tell us what is the status of the Bayelsa students in Russia that claim that their school fees and allowances have not been paid.
Well, you see, it boils down generally to this issue of sudden drop in state revenues. Even federal scholarship students are all complaining. It's not just peculiar to Bayelsa. Iro is something that is general. And a governor who sits down to commit state resources, puts down a mechanism of selecting Bayelsans and sends them to US. We have so many of them.
Doesn't want them to get stranded.
Sends them to the UK and Russia. Does not want to punish them. It means well. These are the challenges of governance and leadership. Now, particularly in the political season, people will now incite them, and so, but you should know that the governor who selects you from your rural area, from your village, maybe from parents that have never even sent you out of the country before, is a governor who means well. Is a governor who is forward-looking, because those monies could very well have been stolen, as very often they were being stolen. So we need understanding, we need support, and we need patience on the part of these students. We are working hard to ensure that at least we send them their stipends and meet other obligations. But it's not been easy. For the past 1 year, it's been very, very tough. For the past year, not just in Bayelsa, what most governments have been able to do is just to manage to pay their salary and other obligations. And a number of states really have challenges. Not because governors don't want to, not because they are reckless, as some people claim.
Exactly, because the claim is that the governors are reckless. You still earn very fat security votes that nobody audits. You still live very expensive and outrageous lifestyle. You are not willing to cut down on your huge taste and appetite, and you are complaining that you don't have funds.
Well, I think a lot of mistakes we do is also to generalize most of these comments. For example, in Bayelsa, for the past 3 months, and people like us who don't make too much noise, we don't like to be talking about most of these things. We are result-oriented, and we want the results to speak for us. But it will interest you to know that for the past 3 months, I have not earned a security vote. For the past 3 months, not only have I not had a security vote, I have not allowed any allocation to run my office. Government house is almost grounded. Reason being that I said, look, priority attention must be paid to meeting our salary obligations. And that's why the NLC is happy, the TUC in Bayelsa is happy. Everybody knows that their governor will not allow them to go for a month without paying their salaries. Because that is the priority obligation. But that means that does not mean there are no other obligations. The governor has to run his office, the governor has to do this, the governor has to do that. There are people who are critically ill, they need your intervention, so there are so many things. There are security issues that must be attended to. You must support security. For example, the Bayelsa robust security mechanism that I introduced, which is the Operation Doakbo. I know how much every month the government has to commit, even on their fueling, not to talk of allowances. Fueling, not to talk of allowances, is heavy. Because in Bayelsa, if there is an incident, as you know, and you call, in 3 minutes the police responds and gets there. Our security command and control center is equipped with modern facilities. And we're working on a gradual computerization of the security system, by which we have cameras, surveillance cameras, backed up by the state electronic surveillance law that I introduced. Because security is paramount. Security is the first condition for development. Is the reason deter of the existence of any government. So that is so these are challenges, but with the funding shortfall and with the very poor IGR base, for example in Bayelsa, when I took over as governor, we were receiving 50 million, less than even 50 million every month as IGR.
Million?
50 million every month. That was
internally
as internally generated revenue. And all of it were even the percentages of payee tax that was coming in. So these are the challenges. But right now, with the reforms that we have put in place, and one has had to spend some political capital in initiating these reforms. But that's what leadership is all about. Leadership is not about praises. Leadership is about taking the right decisions. Leadership is about doing things that posterity will vindicate you. Even in the present moment, because of the pressures and politics and so on, people misunderstand you, posterity will say, look, there was once upon a governor who had a vision and who had the courage of his conviction to initiate reforms. That's what we are doing.
He came, he saw,
and we are making a deal. Just as what we are doing. So right now, the IGR we have now is between 500, 800.
From 50 million.
From 50 million. Now, that is leadership. That is focus. That is commitment to make a difference. So if we continue on this and the industrialization agenda that we have, we want Bayelsa to be the power hub in Nigeria. Reason being that we have gas, a lot of gas. As a matter of fact, Bayelsa is like the statement in the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Water, water everywhere and no water to drink. Yes. Bayelsa is gas, gas everywhere.
Enough for the people to use.
And not enough for the people to use, but we are not utilizing. Now, we are working to ensure that power investors come to Bayelsa because we have the raw material that they need. So we are telling them, hey, wait a minute. You don't need to go too far. You don't need to go and build power stations where you don't have gas. And then you talk of making investments to pipe to where gas is. You come to Bayelsa with security guaranteed, with the right investment policies in place, because we have acquired a place now, which is the power hub, which can take 20 power investors. It can take 20 power stations. We already have our own investment. And my predecessors, right from Alamesea to President Jonathan and former Governor Silva, they all made investments, procuring gas turbines and so on. But procuring is the easiest part. That is the easiest part. You can sign a document and pay and somebody brings. But installing them, synchronizing it, powering them, getting gas supply, and working with the private sector, because a number of these things are not things that government can drive. You can have the initiative, you provide the systems, and then you work with the right members of the private sector, whose motivation is profit to come to Bayelsa. That's where we are. So later this month, we will be having the second investment summit. You remember you were there last year when we had the first investment summit, opening Bayelsa to the world and bringing the world to Bayelsa. This year, we hope to focus on agriculture. We hope to focus on power, because once we have power, then we'll be in a position to say, wait a minute, manufacturer, come to Bayelsa. This is land for you. You have power. Then we can have jobs created, so that this issue of youth unemployment and restiveness can be attended to.
Let me lump so many questions together now, and then I will just focus exclusively on the tweet. I'll be taking questions probably sent by your citizens. Yeah. How bogged down is Bayelsa with the weight of loans, either from previous governments or that will be forced to take either bond? I mean, the usual thing now is for states to resort to bonds market because they want to pay salary. I don't know how feasible that is, to go and borrow money in the bonds market to pay salary. Not something that is regenerative and all of that. How bogged down are you by that? Then there's this allegation, again, coming from your citizens in Bayelsa, that whereas you started very well, turning Bayelsa to one huge construction site, but today Bayelsa is one huge site for abandoned projects.
Well, let me start with that because it is connected to the shortfall in revenue. They all know, even our opponents, the most uncharitable opponents will tell you that this governor has worked, this governor is working, this governor intends to work. When we started with our very ambitious developmental agenda, by which I promised to turn Bayelsa to a huge construction site, and which it became a construction site, we have actually finished and commissioned so many jobs, so many road projects are commissioned, so many of them have been completed, put to use, so many schools and all our priority areas, a lot of things have happened, a lot is going on. But as I said, in the last 1 year, every discerning Nigerian, Every person who studies the Nigerian economy and the world economy knows that Nigeria, in the last 1 year, our economy has gradually been going into, I think we're actually in a recession. We're actually in a recession. So we are managing a very terrible.
Our own meltdown has just started.
Our meltdown has just started. So in the last 1 year, I agree with them, because I brought in all the grade A construction firms. Julius Berger, brought them in, gave them all the major jobs, because we want delivery, we want performance, not politics. I told Bayelsans I will not play politics with development. I will not play politics with security. And I will not play politics with the protection and defense of our strategic interests. And all of these are fulfilled. So most of these contractors now have slowed down. There's no doubt about that. And all the major jobs, even the minor contractors that we gave, as a matter of fact, we are indebted to a number of, which is normal. So we want a situation where things will pick up and then we'll be able to. So it's not true that it's not abandonment. It's a product of the economic reality, which is there. Then secondly, you talked about the debt profile. Yes, we inherited a very high debt burden. Remember my predecessor, that government. I don't talk much about that government, even though they were very unfair to me. I faced a commission of inquiry, faced a warrant of arrest, unnecessary fights, and so on, just targeted at destroying me politically. When I took over, because you see, power comes only from God, and that's why people who are in power should be careful. When they were doing all of that to me, they didn't know that I would be the one, not only that I will be governor, but that I will be the one to actually take over and sit in that office, which became the reality. But because of our beliefs and our standards, you will be shocked that I never even formally set up a commission of inquiry, which a lot of people, when they take over from others, is probe, investigation, and you don't concede to the next person that this person means well, probably could have made an honest mistake. So I didn't want Bayelsa to be known only for those negative things. So, and I avoided it. And even met all the obligations. The bond that was taken, you know, the total liability, total component of that bond is close to 100 billion. When you add the interest elements, which we are servicing. Some people were jittery. They thought I was going to cancel it. They thought I was going to go to court to challenge the processes, which were clearly, most of it irregular. But because I had to maintain the corporate integrity of the state, I didn't do anything about it. We serviced it, and we are servicing. And we have been very faithful in paying down the debt obligations incurred by the previous government, in addition to funding our own aggressive development. Now Bayelsa, I can report to you, is one of the least indebted states. So from inheriting a government that was one of the heaviest indebted, now over 3 years, even in the midst of funding these massive infrastructural and other development projects, because of the way we have been managing the resources of the state, Bayelsa has now translated from being one of the most heaviest indebted to one of the least indebted. So I can report to you that Bayelsa is not bogged down by any debts.
Paradoxically, that is also what has ironed you enemies. That your restoration agenda is just focused on development, and that's all. People are not being empowered. You know what I'm talking about. Stomach infrastructure has no place in the restoration agenda.
Well, the good thing is that, and most of them don't credit that to me. Well, that is the right thing to do. Governments exist for development. Governments exist to provide security. Governments exist to follow rules and standards. Governments don't exist to encourage corruption and brigandage. And as governor, you have to set those standards. As I said, we're not just working for the present, we are working for posterity. We are working to please our conscience, and I'm a man of faith. We are working, most importantly, also to satisfy God, from whom all power flows, and who creates opportunities for leaders to emerge. Now, but they misunderstand my own understanding of empowerment. Government cannot come to the street and line people out and share money. What they were doing, most of it in Bayelsa, like the government, my predecessor, they were empowering cultists, cult boys, all the cult groups that were not in Bayelsa. When we left Bayelsa, I was Attorney General of that state, and we came 2007 to Abuja. We didn't have cult issues. But 2 years after or so, 1 year, 2 years, all the cult groups that were in neighboring states were now brought to Bayelsa. And those boys were given money every month. They were better funded than our party. They were better funded than contractors. Because I came to complete all those jobs. I came to award all those jobs that should have been awarded. I came to complete all those jobs that should have been completed. I came to start the state as if I was starting afresh, as we never had a government. Bayelsa stood still for about 5 years. What we had there, that I meant, were what DSP Jonathan managed to put in place. Bayelsa stood still. Now, what I mean by empowerment, I have appointed more people, appointees in Bayelsa, than any other government before me. And they are paid salaries and allowances. We have not failed to pay them for 1 month. They are paid. I have appointed youths, more youths have been appointed or engaged legitimately. Legitimately. It has to be legitimate because we're a government. We're not a rogue entity. We're a government. So I believe there are 2 things you can do to empower somebody. You give the person a platform to serve. He earns a legitimate salary. He earns a legitimate allowance. That is empowerment.
He's eating from the sweat of his brow.
Yeah, blood for the brow. Then the second one is the government gives you a contract. And let me tell you, I've given more contract to Bayelsans because of the quantity of jobs we have done. Schools, let me tell you, we have built 25 constituency secondary schools. 25 boarding. Boys hostels, girls hostels, laboratory, refectory, library, auditorium, all kinds of things. If you go to those schools, it's as if you are entering into mini universities. Now, every school will have a minimum of 20, 35 contracts, and we split them. And people tender for them one by one. So if you multiply that times 25, because in one local government in southern Niger, because the literacy level is low, and that is the greatest challenge you have. Education, which is what we're investing in. Now all those jobs are given to Bayelsans. We are building primary schools, 400, with headmasters, with teachers' quarters in most of our communities. The contractors are Bayelsans. So my own understanding of empowerment is you get a contract, you do the contract,
and you go
home with your profits.
Not wait for handouts.
Yes, because that is not sustainable. We have to help them, educate them, and remove that mindset of the old Bayelsa, which is haunting that place, which is haunting the Niger Delta region, where people, and they live big lives. They live big lives. We live simple lives. But people want to come if they travel. I am renting a house here, a guest house to stay. When I come in to Abuja, I don't go to Hilton. Now, but private young people will come to Abuja and expect to stay in Hilton, suites, and they expect to have money to buy 50 million vehicles for their girlfriends. You build a house of 500 million and you brag about it, and you want to live a false, unsustainable lifestyle. Now, I believe I have empowered even more Bayelsans, legitimately. Legitimately. Now, if you are a civil servant, and I insist that you go to work, that if you don't go to work, we will discipline you according to the rules. Now, those are things people were not used to. Now, everybody feels, okay, if you're a civil servant, earning the salary is not enough. There has to be free money. Chua, 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 chua. And I've designed a system by which that cannot happen in Bayelsa. So you can imagine that some people will be sad. Now, if you are an appointee and have designed a system whereby at the end of the month you are going home with your salary and a legitimate allowance and nothing more, you will see that they are happy that they have given appointments, but they will also be say, but this man says, person not go chop. You know, so after all now, yes. So that is the mentality I am addressing.
All right, let me rush through some of the questions now.
Yes.
I have somebody call me in the morning that I didn't bother to ask where he got my number from, but he's raising a question about the Teacher Training Institute. When will it take off? He said it's been completed.
Yes.
But if you have a Teacher Training Institute, you have completed it. Why are you keeping it under locks and keys? Good. Then let me get to the Twitter platform. To me, Mongo Park, what a name. It says, why is it that civil servants are retiring yet nothing is done in terms of employing graduates roaming the streets? Then the same Temi Mongo Park says, please ask the governor, why is the flyover bridge still closed down by beggar after completion since August 2014 till now?
Good. So the civil service, we intend to recruit civil servants, particularly to employ younger people. But there's a limit. There's a limit to which we can do, to what we can do. I've actually employed a lot of civil servants, but I've said that it should be in areas of need. For example, medical professionals. Okay. We have set up a committee. Medical professionals are being collated, and some are being employed, and a number of others that are coming will be employed. We have employed agric professionals. Okay. We have room for engineers. Yeah. For quantity surveyors, because of the quantum of government public work going on. And then teachers. I'm going to actually employ a lot of teachers, because those are the sort of people we need to make a difference. Yeah. And now that brings me to the question about the teachers training, teachers training academy. Yeah. It's actually like a university built from scratch by the government. And the whole idea is because of the focus on education. And education is actually the most powerful tool that we can use to change the Bayelsa and the Niger Delta and even the Nigerian society. So with all these schools we are building, 25 constituency boarding schools, 8 model secondary schools that have capacity for 1,000, and then all the primary schools, we need to train the teachers. Now, all those schools will take off by September. Okay. So in the next 1 month, we hope to commission and put to use the Teachers Training Academy. That's what. And then the flyover bridge, it has been completed. Initially, most of these projects were lined up because we were expecting my leader, the former president. Okay. We expected that he would have a state visit, so that we can
in the second term,
to commission, but not even before the general election.
Okay.
But you know, the elections were very hectic, the campaigns very hectic. All of us were involved in it, and we couldn't create space until the outcome of the presidential election, and then we are beginning to recover from the outcome of the presidential election. So very soon we hope to commission most of these projects, maybe by August, so that most of those projects can be commissioned and fully put to use.
All right, more questions coming from the Twitter handle, Andrew Zlega, I think that's the name. It says, Governor Sereke says he is not owing salaries. Ask him what about the 2 months pension and local government salaries he has not paid. Moving forward, says, what has happened to the CBN SME loan and dirty streets with potholes? The same moving forward says he played politics when he abandoned the Isaac Borough Road and other link roads.
No, the Isaac Borough Road, the dualization was started by my government. Okay. Julius Berger is the contractor.
Yes, they say you abandoned it.
No. As I've said, we are owing Julius Berger. In fact, what we are owing Berger is close to 10 billion naira. So because of the jobs they are doing, and we were falling were not able to meet because of the shortfalls.
Okay.
Then talking about, well, Bayelsa is not a streetway, it's not a city, it's not a state with dirty
streets.
The Environmental Sanitation Authority and their contractors are working, and that's about that. Then there was an issue again. Which one?
And he said
okay, salary.
Yeah, salary.
Salary.
Owing 2 months salary.
No.
Pension also.
No, we're not owing salaries at all.
What about local government?
Well,
and a lot of people have asked questions about local government funds management. Are you also one of the governors who love local government funds with the state allocation, and you just call the local government chairman and give them what you like?
Incidentally, my local government chairman will tell you that since I became governor, and these are things that are there, but we don't talk much about. So I have not tampered with local government funds, even 1 naira. What we even do is that we take, because statutorily, local government councils are responsible for payment of primary school teachers and so on and so forth.
Do you know whether the local governments are defaulting on this?
No, where I'm coming. Now to help them, because of the emphasis on education, Bayelsa state government pays actually 60%. I took over 60% of that obligation and allowed the local government only to pay 40% of the teachers. So I contribute 60% and give to them. Now, I am aware that a number of my councils, most councils are owing their council workers some months in arrears, which is not acceptable. Recently, I'm told that the House of Assembly is conducting a public hearing into that. Okay. And I've directed the LGA chairman that they have to appear before the House of Assembly to explain why they have fallen due. Now, nobody should impute.
Also, when you have taken part of the load from them.
Yeah, because I'm not owing at the state level, and I'm also taking part of the loan, 60% of the load to them. But I can also understand, I have a fair idea of what could be happening. Because the local government areas also have their own, they draw their own statutory allocations from the federation, the same way we do. So if our own revenues have gone down, then I can understand why local government resources are also dwindling. And meanwhile, salary obligations are fairly constant. In fact, they actually increase incrementally. So there are issues there. So first, Bayelsa is one state where local government council chairmen enjoy autonomy, full autonomy. I don't interfere, no state, since I became governor, I don't even know what they get. And they are all my officials are under strict instructions. And they know. Recently, I think the Norgay and all the related affiliations, Algon and all the chairmen, they made a public statement commending government for what I've been doing. So not only with this present chairman, but even the ones before them. I said, no, my duty is to manage what comes to the state. Your duty is to manage the local government resources. My only request is that you do so prudently. Okay. You do so prudently, and the House of Assembly has oversight powers to check what you're doing. And your councillors are there also to work with you. Okay. So we're not owing.
All right, let me read more. Lumofaga, Roland, PDP, says, please help me ask the governor what are his grievances with former Senator Heineken Lokobre and Senator Poka Emmanuel. Then Nwokedi Uwori Sarah says, in only 4 years in office, Bayelsa's Governor Dickson has raised the bar on transparency and accountability. Okay, that's some commendation coming from Nwokedi Uwori Sarah there. Okay, Iro again says, which of the projects that DSP or Jonathan left uncompleted that the governor of Sereke has completed?
Well, let me talk about transparency, because that is the heart, it's at the heart of the success of every government. My government, so far as I know, were the government that every month I stand before the Bayelsa people and the members of the public, the journalists and so on, the media, civil society, and explain to them what comes to the state and how we're expending it. Now, if you don't have a transparent culture, if you don't have prudence in the management of resources, you can't have enough money for corruption. Because you can't have enough money for everybody to steal. Everybody will be building private houses and acquiring private properties, and then the public interest will suffer. So that is why I believe we have been able to do a number of these things. Now, the question about completion of projects. Of course, we are completing. We don't abandon any project. If you go to the hospital project, that the 500-bed hospital that Chief Alamisi has started, of course, which the former my predecessor also put in a lot of money there. If you enter there, it's like a medical village. Now, it's a medical village. Because our intention is that very soon, Bayelsa will be the center of medical excellence, where people come from outside, receive treatment, instead of even traveling out. As we speak, one of the projects that has been ready for commissioning is the Medical Diagnostic Center, world class. MRI, CAT scan, this, that, everything set. Whatever you are going outside to do, we have it now in place in Bayelsa.
No need to go to India.
No need to go to India. So very soon, people from outside with our own professionals are going to run it. It's not going to be government run. That's the standard I've set.
What about that building, that spiral building that you always see when you get to...
The hotel project.
Yeah,
the Tower Hotel. The Tower Hotel. It was conceived by the I think Alamesia, the former from President Jonathan, did it to a level. Then my predecessor also put in quite some money and took it to a level. But you see, there are fundamental issues you must deal with. A hotel is not just another building. Unless you just want to complete a building and then people will use it to do short time. Whatever that means. So, if what you are building is a hotel,
a
world-class hotel of that magnitude, right from day one, you should be working with hotel managers, those who will manage it, who will put their brand, and you will build and complete it according to their world standards. So you can't just build one building, however beautiful, however tall, however spectacular, however emotionally attached you are to it, and call it a hotel when you finish. People will come and use it for a short time. But we want the project to actually be world class, because it's a beautiful project. It's going to be one of the centers of attraction in Bayelsa. And quite frankly, I can't wait to see it being completed. Because 18 floors, you go there, you see the whole of the city, you see the Oxbow Lake area. And by the way, we have changed the entire Oxbow Lake. Dredged and filling, other projects there. The Transparency Plaza that my predecessor started. I finished it. I'm even doing more. So there's no question of I don't abandon projects.
All right. Nigerian Democracy says, now we know what Gov.Dickson is doing by Bayelsa. I dare Governor Wada of Kogi to come on this program and tell Nigerians what he's doing. Okay. Sunshine K now says, about the salaries you said you have paid for the past 3 months now to the southern Ijaw local government. Salaries have not been paid. So you probably need to find out why local governments are not paid, because there's tendency to think that Bayelsa government is owing, when in actual fact it's the local governments that are owing their...
No, but I think there's no doubt at all. Everybody knows that Bayelsa state government is not owing salaries. The NLC, the TUC, the trade unions, the civil servants themselves are very happy with what we have done. As I said, the House of Assembly is looking into some of these issues affecting the local government areas, and they will come up with their findings. The chairman will have an opportunity to explain how they are managing the resources. Someone asked about 2 personalities.
Senator Lokobiri,
yes.
and Senator Poka.
No,
what do you have against them?
Lokobiri, we don't have any issues with Lokobiri. He just didn't get a third-term ticket.
And Poka too?
And to the best of my knowledge, he remains a party member.
Okay.
He remains a party member.
Let's just spend the last 2 minutes we have now briefly on politics.
Yes.
Election is due in Bayelsa in September.
Is it September?
Yes.
INEC is here to come out with their timetable.
Okay.
And so we have not started politicking.
Okay, I was going to ask, when are you going to declare your ambition?
Well, we are consulting, we are praying, and we are working.
Okay.
We are still running our agenda, and are not allowing any distractions. I know, however, that politics has started. As a matter of fact, it didn't just start. I've spent the last 3 years containing subversion. All these things I've achieved is in spite of subversion. High-level destabilization, high-level distraction, high-level subversion, and in an attempt to derail what we're doing. Even when I didn't have a single member in the House of Assembly that I inherited. All the previous members in the State House were put by my predecessor. There are governors who find it difficult even to work with Assembly. They themselves, try to empanel. But we were able to manage that. That means Bayelsa is stable. That means Bayelsa is moving. And Bayelsa under me, the new Bayelsa, is focused on development.
I want to say to those people who are decamping at the speed of light from the PDP to the new bride, the APC, and again, when election will hold in probably September or anytime INEC chooses, there's a different scenario from what you had in 2011. You'll be contending with a federal government that is not controlled by your party.
Well, let me put it this way. With what we have done and the strength of our party, forget about two people coming to address a press conference. We are used to that. And particularly knowing the political culture of that area and the region. 2-3 people that you have even given a contract to, that you are delaying in paying them. It's enough for them to address a press conference to say you should not run or they will not support you. People that you have appointed, you have helped, you have raised. It's like that. And when you put the factors that we suddenly lost federal power with a president from my state and with governorship elections coming later this year, then you will know that in Nigerian politics, a friend today, in fact, in the next 2-3 minutes, they are calculating how they can survive from the new federal authority. So those are the calculations going on, but it has not affected the strength of the PDP. PDP is on ground, it's unshakable in Bayelsa. I and my sister, we are on ground gidigba in Bayelsa. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been possible for me to survive the high-level destabilization, which I was not even talking publicly about. Very unfair, but that was what I had to maintain.
Countryman, unfortunately, you know me now, that I would have loved to go on and on. No,
thank you.
But we have to repeat this very soon again,
yes.
Probably maybe before the elections.
Before
you declare your ambition.
Well,
is that a promise?
We are praying and we are consulting. PDP has 21 House of Assembly, 3 senators, 5 reps, chairmen. So we are on ground so we are consulting and we'll come.
We have to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.
For the past 50 minutes or so, I've been with my very good friend and brother, the countryman governor of Bayelsa State, Right Honorable Henry Dickson. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, brother, for having me.
All right, that's Focus Nigeria this morning. I'll see you tomorrow.